Honestly, once you've tasted homemade, fresh, especially farm fresh tortillas, there's no going back to store-bought ones. And here's the key thing, you don't need any special ingredients, you don't need a bunch of time, you don't even need to measure in order to make the best homemade tortillas in your own home. This process is specifically designed just to make it easy enough so that you can make this all in your house and never feel like the process is so daunting that you have to run to the store and buy some instead. The ingredients don't really matter. It will play a difference in the flavor of taste, but that's the experimentation part that makes it really exciting. This first tortilla is as farm fresh as I could perform here. The flour is not from here, but the butter and buttermilk are from here. So if you're curious about how to make butter or how we make butter, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when that video comes out. And I can almost rest assured that you basically have the ingredients to make these tortillas inside of your house by just following these few steps and understanding what makes up a tortilla. Here are the basic ingredients of a tortilla. We've got a flour, a fat, and a liquid, and salt, which isn't needed, but without it, like most bread products, doesn't taste the same. The fats are the reason for the texture inside of the tortillas. So with the fats being present, we get the same similar texture, but still different flavor. With butter as the fat, we get a little bit more rich and creamy. With coconut oil as the fat, you get a little bit sweeter of a tortilla. And if you see something like bacon fat, you're gonna get a richer, deeper, more savory tortilla out of it. The flour is the base, and even if you switch it out with corn, it's going to be the same process. And the liquids rolls to bring everything together, and adding something like milk or buttermilk just adds a little bit more robust flavor into it. And water isn't just an acceptable liquid, it is actually the more commonly used liquid inside of tortillas. Now that that's understood, let's add the flour. Not measured out, I don't even know how much it is. Just a pinch or two of salt. And then add the fat. Now what we're looking for in the amount of fat versus flour ratio is that all the fats hold together the flour, making everything clump together. Inside of here we could see the fats and they are holding together with the flour, but we're not there yet because as I squeeze, it crumbles a little bit too easily. And it's still a little bit too floury and not so much like a crumble. Do you see how floury this is? Now, I can tell by feel, as we reach this point, if we ball up some of the dough and it holds together, but it still crumbles with light pressure, then we're ready. This is really it for the immersion of the fats and the flour. And then we add our liquid. I went a tiny bit overboard with that liquid, so I just added a little bit more flour because this is kind of the consistency that I'm going for. And I can see it's a little flaky still, which is fine. I can do tortillas just like this, but we're gonna add slight bit of liquid back into here, making it a little bit smoother of a texture, less flaky of a texture. Now we're just gonna knead this a little bit because I'm pretty much there. It's smoother, it's a little bit flaky, and then I just mix it in a little bit more. And you can see this dough is pretty much ready to go. We used to always use a rolling pin when we did this, but this really takes so much time and makes you never ever want to make tortillas by yourself if you're rolling everything out by hand. That's why we got a tortilla press. But to be honest, I would way rather use like an old cutting board or something to press those down instead of a rolling pin, because the rolling pin takes so long. A lot of people put parchment paper down inside of here, but we don't like to use parchment paper. So because I make my own dough and I go for feel, I know that this isn't sticky, this isn't too sticky, and I can just throw it straight down, smash them, and they come right up. Now this isn't the most perfect thin one. You could keep it here, but we're gonna make this a little bit more thin by letting it rest for a second. Giving it another smash, do both sides. And then off to the stove. We now have the pan preheated. Adding butter. And then the tortilla. And then you don't have to do this part, but I like stretching it out and flattening it a little bit extra. Just with the back of my palm, right? Back of my fingers right here. And then before it's fully cooked on the other side, I'll flip it. Just to flatten that a little bit more. And it's even at this point, if I really cared about extra thin tortillas, once they're cooked a little bit, they'll actually flatten even more. So I'll throw it back in there. Quick flattening. And then they're a lot more thin. And doing it this way, I don't have to roll them out, and flattening them after they're cooked a little bit, they'll hold their shape and they'll stay a lot thinner. Now here's my actual workflow so that you can see how quick it can be and easy, because I originally filmed that just so that you could see visually the differences. But what I'll normally do is just have this sitting right here, flatten it twice, throw this on here. I'll get my next one ready. Do this one, come over here. Give this one that second flatten. Again, only if I really cared about that second flattening for this video. For you guys, I'm going to show you, but not always necessary. And we finish up with this one. Reflattening over here. And then I could keep cooking or keep it a little bit undercooked like this, but we're done. That's it. And that's it. Just a flour, a fat, a liquid, and look how pliable they are and delicious. Tortillas don't have to be a one-size-fits-all every single time. Experiment with them, and like I showed you before, you don't even need to measure. Just make sure that your fats stick to your flour and fall apart with minor pressure. Not too little pressure and not too much pressure. And you'll be good to go for any fat in any tortilla there is. I hope you found this useful and valuable, and I hope that you start cooking without measuring everything out or looking up things online all the time. We like to cover all things homestead related here, from making butter to making tortillas at home, so that we don't have to go to the store and get the tortillas with preservatives. We make sourdough, we have goats, chickens, ducks, we raise our own meat. There's just so much to cover when it comes to homesteading. I want to encourage other people to live the way that we've chosen to, and if you can't buy land or have animals, then you can at least take a hold of your food a little bit more and start making things like tortillas at home.